So you just heard about a massive conspiracy. I hope that if no other thing that you learn from this, you will find out that I am not clever enough to pull this off. Okay, 20 years, this big conspiracy's been going on. I didn't even know about it. That's how bad it is. So, to sort of walk through some of the points of contention. The travel time index is our main measure. I went through the last several reports that we have and looked at the number of times we reference the travel time index, which again is a ratio of the travel time in the peak period to the travel time at free flow speed. So the 1.25 says it takes you 25% longer in the peak to get somewhere than the off-peak. And the measures that we talk about that are related to delay or extra travel time, the kinds of measures that I believe the CEOs for cities wants to have us be more prominent. You can see that starting in 1999, the first few years, it was about even. 2001, we referred to the TTI more often than we did delay. But starting in 2004, the TTI for our report pretty much disappears. We do still refer to it. I think it still has a use in corridor measures. It also has a use in just exactly what Dr. Cortright showed at the very end of his. The progress of Portland can be measured in looking at the comparison and ranking between the travel time index and the delay measures. If we didn't have a travel time index, you wouldn't be able to show that dichotomy. Essentially, Portland's travel time index continues to go up. The ranking goes up, so they get closer to number one. This is a poll where you don't want to be number one. You don't want to be in the top 10. So Portland's travel time index continues to get worse ranked. Their delay per commuter, however, stops getting worse and in fact starts improving. What that says is that their trips, the individual miles that they have to go, they're doing that at slower speeds. But just as Dr. Cortright suggested, the delay per commuter number is going down because they're going shorter distances. So we wouldn't be able to construct this comparison if we didn't have these two measures and understand what they're about. The writers for the Portland newspapers, the folks at Portland's planning agency, Metro, have met with us. We've talked to them. They understand this. They're comfortable with the notions that I just explained to you, and they're able to communicate that to the public. So the travel time index, the primary measure. The next one, do we ignore distance? Well, no. The delay measure incorporates distance specifically. Length times extra time times volume. Do we ignore land use? Do we only talk about highway solutions? This is a slide I've been using for way too long. People get, if you've seen me speak in the last 15 years, you've probably seen this slide. And it does say build more capacity. That's more road, more transit capacity. And the reason is if you live in an area with a million people, with a million more people over the next 15 or 20 years, put me down in the category of people who say you'll have to build more capacity. I don't think that we can just densify our urban areas with no more capacity if we're trying to add this huge number of people. I'm guilty of that. We also have, so we point to all these solutions, including, I'll note, accept some congestion. Is this the notion of a raving highway guy? I think when we look especially at the bigger urban areas, you certainly have to accept that it's going to take you more time to get around. And I always point out the y-axis component here, that the percentage are going to vary from city to city. That is, I think, the fundamentals of what we're doing in planning. Portland wants to be a very different city than I think Houston or Dallas wants to be. Now, if I were king, I might do something different, but we live in a democracy, and people are in charge of constructing those plans, and I think we have to recognize that not everybody's going to make the same choices. I think it's important that the public understand what the effect of those choices are, but I don't expect that they're all going to be the same choices. So poor fuel estimates, yes, absolutely, we're guilty of that. Exactly what Dr. Cortright said. We took an old model and we've been torturing the hell out of it. The downside of trying to do something more sophisticated is for up until we got this INRIX data, we basically had one speed for an urban area. You know, the MOVES model, that the new EPA model requires much more detailed data. Now that we have data on individual pieces of road and every hour of the day, we're incorporating that metric. I fully expect our fuel estimates are going to go down. And again, we've been very open, very willing to change the numbers that we generate if we find a better way to do it. The bottom says, are we interested in new measures? We want to be a part of the conversation, absolutely. I think it's important that the conversation starts off with some common knowledge base, some common understanding of where we are and what we're doing. I think one of the other points that I didn't have a slide for was the NHTS survey data that shows the travel time the travel time to work isn't increasing, but our commuting numbers are increasing. Well, I think that's a reflection of the fact that 20 or 25% of the trips in the peak are work trips. The rest of them are not work trips. And if you think about what's been happening with commuting, people have been traveling lots more different places, congesting lots more roads. That's what makes our delay numbers go up. It's not the extra time for every individual, it's the extra time for the region. It's the more people that are being affected. So the NHTS is a user-based survey. Ours is more of a study of what's happening with the facilities that ultimately affect the users, but affect all the users, not just the folks going to work. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to chat about if we want to start a conversation.